afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today at Alexander Youth Network's presentation of our Charlotte PRTF program, Pathways to Hope and Healing. I want to thank you all for taking this time out of your lunch schedule to join us, and I think this is really going to be a worthwhile half hour, 45 minutes for you. There will be a Q&A session after the presentation, and I'll guide you all into that and let you know when you can unmute your mics or put something into the Q&A chat. My name is Erica Moss. I'm the Referral and Business Development Manager here at Alexander, which basically means I help everybody in North Carolina know who we are. I help families and agencies connect their children, their clients, their patients to our wonderful array of services. We are also going to be joined by Xavier Dunbar. He is our Executive Director for our Charlotte PRTF program. We also have Leonard Schinhoster. Leonard, I'm so sorry. I probably butchered your last name. Leonard, okay. He is our Vice President for over residential services throughout Alexander Youth Network. And then we also have Ms. Catherine Zalewski. She is our education supervisor. And so she'll be sharing a little bit about the academic instruction that we offer in our Charlotte PRTF programs. As a reminder, or not necessarily as a reminder, I'm letting you know, this webinar will be recorded. So following the presentation, I will be sending out to all registrants a link to the recorded presentation for your future reference, as well as a copy of this PowerPoint presentation, and also a copy of our Alexander Youth Network referral form. So all of that you can lock away for your future reference whenever you need to gather some more information or reach out to who you need to reach out to for further questions, further information, and to go ahead and send over some of your referrals to our services. Also, finally, after the presentation, I am going to be holding a random drawing of all of you who have actually attended this webinar, and the lucky winner will win a special Alexander Youth Network swag prize item. And I'll send you an email. Whoever the winner is, I'll send you an email and get your address so that we can send that out to you. So that's just as a courtesy, as a thank you for joining us today. So let's start off by talking a little bit about our mission. Our mission at Alexander is to provide quality professional treatment to the children of North Carolina who are at risk of or who have serious emotional and behavioral problems. And we have a wide array of services, not just PRTF. Of course, that's one of our highest levels of services, but we also offer day treatment, outpatient therapy, intensive in-home services, multisystemic therapy services, therapeutic foster care, a wide array of programs and services so that we can treat the whole child and help them navigate through their mental health journey. And so our goal in doing that is to help children and their families exercise self-determination, achieve their potential, and become positive contributors to society. And that is a mission that we strongly believe in. And again, each of our programs and services, we strive to reach that mission, to reach that goal through those services. And PRTF is just one of those. And that's what we're going to be talking about today, of course. And so at this time, I am going to pass the torch over to Leonard, our Vice President of Residential Services, and he's going to get started giving you some information about our PRTF. How are you doing, Leonard?
I'm all right.
Good.
I'm the only one on camera, but that's fine. I'll be on camera.
That's okay.
Well, I'll go through some of this. I'm not going to read all this stuff verbatim because everybody can read, so I don't want to bore you just reading slides. But some of the main points that our psychiatric residential facility, we have 41 bed unlocked right now. We're actually going to add another bed around, I think, March or April to make it 42. We serve children ages 5 to 12. Another interesting, we have another PRTF in Guilford County where we serve 12 kids from 13 to 17. We're looking to actually double those beds from 12 to 24. So right now we're either looking at upfitting the building we in or looking for another area location. But our plan within the next hopefully year or so is to go from 12 to 24 in our adolescent unit in Guilford County. Let's see. You can go to next. Like I said, everybody can read this. If you have any questions when I'm going through this, just please, you can ask at any time. We can go ahead.
Absolutely, yes. And again, everybody will get a copy of this as well.
Some of our features here, the gymnasium. You can see we have an indoor swimming pool. We have a cafeteria, full meals, playground and basketball course, labyrinth. And one of the biggest thing I like that we have here that's kind of make us distinct from other PRTFs, we have something called family cottages. And each of those family cottages can have like 3 to 5 people to stay. So it gives a place for families, especially families who's traveling all through North Carolina, that come to visit the kids, have somewhere to stay. And it also gives time for them to work with the families and also work with our therapists to do the family therapy sessions while they're here on campus. So it's free. They're very nice. They can eat in the cafeteria. So it's no money out of their pocket while they stay here. Another thing about our features that not quite yet, Eric.
Sorry, jump on the gun.
That's fine. Another thing about our features, we actually recently got some funding, some environment and care funding from the state of like $150,000. We're going to be doing a lot of upgrades on our campus, like actually building a new gym, looking at our facilities and our colleges and everything. So we got some money to actually help with our environment and care. So we got a lot of good things coming up. We also got some of that money from our Greensboro campus too. I think like $60,000 from the state to do some upfitting. So that's good. What can children and families expect? Like I said, you can read through this. Individual group therapy, of course, medication management. We individualized aftercare plan. We really focus on discharge planning and having discharge planning as soon as the kids get here in PRTF, making sure that we're discharge planning immediately. We really try to stick to that 90 to 120 days length of stay. We really put our length of stay down. We don't want kids sitting in PRTF for long periods of time. This is not, like we have to remind people a lot and guardians that this is PRTF is a place to stabilize medication management, but it's not a long-term placement. So we try to make sure we stick to that 90 to 120 days to kind of hopefully get our kiddos to a lower level of care. Let's talk about and then our model of care is that kind of makes us different also. You can go to the next one. We use the neurosequential model of therapeutic. This really focuses on brain development and how trauma and neglect can affect the brain. Our model is not a behavior-based model. We don't do behavior point system. We don't do any of that stuff because we honestly believe at our kids' age, point systems don't really work for them anyway. They don't really care about that. So our stuff is really just, it's really a therapeutic relational model, which means that, the kids participate in all activities because that's part of their treatment. So you'll notice we have a lot of things going on around here. We have a lot of volunteers to come in to do like lunch buddies, dinner buddies, do one-on-ones with our kids. We have playground area. We have rope course. We have bikes. We have swings. We have a swimming pool, like I said, on campus. So there's a lot of those repetitive movement stuff that they can do to kind of help bridge some of those gaps in their brain. Academic instruction. I'm going to actually let our supervisor, education supervisor, kind of go through our academic instruction, how we kind of do that here at Alexander.
Hi, everybody. Happy Friday. My name is Kate Zalewski. I am the education supervisor at the Charlotte campus at AYN. Just to kind of give you an idea of what our academic instruction looks like, we do have 3 certified teachers, including myself. I am a Gen Ed and EC educational exceptional children's teacher. I have 1 general education teacher, and I have 1 EC teacher, exceptional children's teacher right now. At this time, we do have a significant amount of our students, about 95% of our students are performing at least 2 or more grade levels behind where they should be. So with that being said, we do have a lot of kids. 75% of our kids currently have an IEP, which is a individualized education plan or a 504 plan to help them with their school, either in academics or their behaviors. Monday through Friday, we have a 2-hour direct block of academic instruction. Monday through Thursday. And what that consists of is the first 30 minutes of each block is dedicated to our social emotional learning. So things that kids are learning with our teachers are respect, gratitude. We've talked about bullying and teasing, the difference between the two. We talk about how to be a good friend, how to share, and things like that. So that helps with their mental health, social interactions, and things like that. And then from there, the next hour and a half is dedicated to, we do spend, our focus in academics is reading, writing, and math, but we do incorporate social studies and science within our curriculum. We do follow the North Carolina Department of Public Instruction standards, but we do have, working at a PRTF, we do have a lot of flexibility with our curriculum. So we can teach to where our kids at. Like I said, 95% of our kids are below grade level. So, if a kid is in sixth grade, we can't teach to sixth grade level because they can't do it. So, we teach to a second or third grade level. We do have a lot of our kids are 7, 8, 9 years old. Approximately 80% of our kids right now, even some fourth and fifth and 1 or 2 sixth graders, unfortunately do not know how to read. They are considered emergent readers. So we do spend a lot of time focusing on reading skills, phonics skills, and things like that. Fortunately, we do partner with CMS, Charlotte Mecklenburg Schools. So we are fortunate to have a wonderful, wonderful tutor that comes in 3 times a week for 45-minute sessions with a group of students to also support them in their reading skills. So about 16 to 18 of our kids out of our 41 kids do receive that tutoring session with our tutor, and she's so wonderful that I have had a handful of kids come up to me and actually ask if they can participate in going to tutoring. We do have a lot of kids that want to read, particularly our older kids too, that want to learn how to read. So they do want that extra support. Like Leonard was saying, our 6 R's relational, our teachers, our PE coach, Coach Dan, and our rec therapist, Mr. Malik, spend a lot of time building rapport with these students to get them comfortable going to academics, because academics can be a trigger for a lot of our kids. They're several grade levels behind, so it can be a trigger for them. We do have weekly Friday meetings, my teachers, myself, my rec therapist, and our PE coach. So we get together and we plan for the following week. The kids really enjoy this because we put all of those things together and we incorporate academics, PE, rec therapy. So it's really fun for the kids. It's engaging for the kids. The kids are motivated in wanting to go to academics, and they love participating in the rec therapy activities and PE with Coach Dan. So that's really fun for us. Just to give you an idea of kind of sort of what we're doing at this time, because we just started the new school year, the new year. Our theme for January was health and wellness, and we were talking about exercising. Coach Dan was talking about basketball and football with the football season. Now he's going into talking about winter sports. Academics is bringing that in. Rec therapy is bringing that in. They're learning how to curl. They're learning about bobsledding. We've also talked about in academics the water cycle, the life cycle of a snowflake. So the kids hands-on, love learning hands-on. Visual learners, kinesthetic learners, the teachers allow them to be standing instead of sitting. If they want to, they can sit on the floor. We try and make academics as fun and as comfortable as possible so that they are engaged and they want to be there. So they've made their own snow a couple of weeks ago. They made their own snow globes. And so we display these things in our hallways, and it's fun for the kids to see that their schoolwork is displayed and they take pride in their schoolwork. Our SEL lessons, our social emotional lessons, this month revolved around resolutions and goal setting, teaching them time management. So this all goes back, we all kind of tie this into what we can teach the kids in our curriculum. Let's see. And I guess that's about it for academics.
Thanks, Kate.
You're welcome.
Yeah, that's awesome, Kate. I especially am impressed by the fact that our kiddos are learning about curling and bobsledding, and
Yeah.
what other PE curriculum. It's so neat. It's so neat. Thank you so much, Kate.
You're welcome.
Lenard, you want to pick it back up with the 30-day assessment program we offer?
Yeah. So the other thing is that, I talked about our length of stay and how we really focus on keeping that length of stay to 90 to 120 days. Like we're kind of different from other PRTF that we have a lot of things embedded in our PRTF to kind of help with that length of stay. One of the things I like is something we call a 30-day assessment program. It's for the kiddos that we really don't know kind of what level of care they need. So we kind of bring them in for a 30-day stay to kind of see what they really need. So we do like comprehensive assessment period to determine a need, if they need to stay here longer or not. Psychological evaluations performed within 2 weeks of admission to the program, and it kind of provides stabilization, diagnostic evaluation, psychiatric treatment. So we determine, do they need to stay here that 90 to 120 days, or do they need to go to a lower level of care or foster care, or they're okay through our assessment. So that's another program we have embedded into our PRTF. Also, another program we have embedded to in our PRTF, which I think is one of my favorites, is called the intensive PRTF. It's the iPRTF. For that, those most kind of features of that is increased family visits, weekly sessions with case manager at family's home, and case management assistant up for 1 year. We have a family partner and we have a therapist that work not just with the kid when they come to Alexander, but also work with the parents to kind of get them ready when the kids come back in their home after 90 to 120 days. Some of the admission criteria is client must be screened appropriate for the program, of course, and heavy family involvement. Like it has to be family involvement for this to really work. The biological family, pre-adopted, even if we look at some foster homes, we have foster parents, we can use them also. But it's constant weekly therapy sessions with the family and also the kid while he's here. Another great thing about this, that after kids get discharged from PRTF, the family partner follows their parents, the guardian, for a year after, still give them support and hope to make sure we keep them in a home and not go back to a lower level of care. So it's a great program. I think right now we have between 8 to 10 kids that are in that program in our PRTF. Just overall considerations for admissions. You can read some of this stuff on there. Of course, have a history of trauma, primary, secondary diagnosis, IQ over 70. And look at this, when he says consideration for admission, that does not mean if they don't have all these things that we would not take the kid. We screen every child. Like, for example, IQ over 70. There's been times we took kids with 67, 68 IQ. So this doesn't mean that we won't take the kid. It's just kind of something we look at, consideration for admissions. That's all. But we screen every kid. So.
Well, that is a lot of information. Sorry, go ahead, Lenard, if you want to take over.
I'm sorry, Erica.
No, it's fine. Yeah, I just wanted to interject here that there is, as you can see, our PRTF program, we are extremely comprehensive in our treatment of these kids. You're not just sending a kiddo over to us and it's a quick fix, we're addressing the behaviors and then expect to send them off on their way. No, this is, with our PRTF programs, we really want to establish a firm foundation in their mental health journey. With the 30-day assessment program, the iPRTF, all of the wonderful features and our model of care, our education program that, as you heard from Kate, is not just about academics. We incorporate a lot of our mental health learning, our mental health approaches within that realm as well. So if you were interested in referring to Alexander's PRTF, we have a designated inbox with our intake program. It's up there on the screen, intake@aynkids.org. And you can see listed here are some of the basic necessary documents that we will absolutely 100% need in order to begin the screening process. Our intake staff will be in regular communication with the family, with the clinical home, the referral source, and making sure that all of our T's are crossed, our I's are dotted, so that we can submit for those authorizations to Medicaid or to any of the other insurance plans that we accept. And as you can see there, we do accept all Medicaid plans, and there are many private insurance plans that we also partner up with. Of course, that's going to coverage is going to depend on the individual plan, as always. But if you have any questions about any of this process, here's a contact information. Again, you'll get a copy of this. There's the intake department phone number and email. There is my phone number and email, and then also Xavier Dunbar, who is on the call. But he hasn't been able to speak with us today, but he is on the call, and there's his phone number and his email address as well. And yeah, go ahead.
Good job, Erica. And also, I was kind of tell you to go back, and that's fine. As far as admission criteria, no, you don't have to go back. You're fine. Admission criteria. Okay. Sometimes when we have denials and people get denials, they have questions. If you have a question about a denial and you want us to maybe look at a denial again and have questions, then maybe we can kind of work out something to be able to take the child in our PRTF, please reach out to Xavier. He's always available to have discussions on why this kid was denied, or even have a discussion of what we could do to maybe take that kid and what we can put in place just to have that discussion. But always contact him. A lot of times what happens is people have these concerns and they end up, they don't even contact me. They go over me and contact our CEO or our COO. And all they're going to do is give it back to me over Xavier. So Xavier's number right there, if you have questions about denials, please contact him directly. You'll get a quicker answer or a quicker conversation instead of going to 3 or 4 people that it finally gets to him. So
absolutely. Thank you for that. Yeah, thank you for that, Leonard. Okay, so with all of that being said, I am going to open up everybody's ability to unmute. Let me get over here to the settings. Unfortunately, there's no little quick setting for that. So I'm allowing mic for all attendees. If you don't have, you should all be able to unmute your microphones now. So if you have any questions, just go ahead and unmute and we will be happy to answer them. Or there's also a Q&A chat box. You can put those in there, put your questions in there, and I will monitor those as well. So I'll give y'all a few minutes to think of some questions. Y'all are quiet. There's 46 of you on here. Now somebody's got to have a question. Going once.
I have a question.
Yes. Go ahead, Wendy.
Hi, everybody.
Hey.
I have 4 kiddos with you all.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
1 in Greensboro and 3 in Charlotte.
Mm-hmm.
You all are the best. You're so awesome. I love the work you do. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
What kinds of things would potentially cause a denial of a referral?
Xavier, you want to try to come answer some of this? Can you talk a little?
Yeah, I apologize, everyone. I'm a little bit under the weather, so I've been on, and I normally would try to lead these discussions just under the weather. But in terms of potential denials, one of the biggest ones we get, because we're an unlocked setting, consumers that have a history of elopement type behaviors, AWOL, those kids would be denied. Sexually aggressive behaviors, our model's not designed for that, so those kids would be denied. Excuse me. Those are 2 of the bigger ones that we get. Then, as Leonard mentioned earlier, there's wiggle room with the IQ. So sometimes with the IQ, I may look at if there's a psychological on file, I may look at the psychological just to get an idea of, actual functioning or areas where a child may be strong, or maybe areas of deficiency, and try to determine if I think the kid is a good fit or not.
Thank you, Xavier, and thank you for being a good sport, getting on to answer Wendy's question. Looks like we have a question in the chat.
We have somebody hand raised too. And,
Okay.
Hey, I have a
Yes,
question,
go ahead.
to Shauna. I was curious to know with your medical team, do your medical team issue medical injections?
no,
Thank
we
you.
do not. Right. And the one question is, what was the ages again in the location? For Charlotte, the ages are 5 to 12. And for Greensboro, it's from 13 to 17. And yes, it's male and females.
And if it's my understanding is correct, Leonard, they are does everyone have their own room, each child?
Yes, we don't
So it
double
is
any.
separate.
Something I've never believed in that. We individualize room. I don't even take that risk in no kind of way. So we have individual rooms. Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay. Anyone else? Now that we've broken the ice. Is a discharged youth ever eligible for reconsideration to be admitted, to be readmitted, or is it once discharged, always discharged? It's a good question.
Unfortunately, we have a lot of specific kids that come back. We especially now we try to, if the kids stay for a long period of time, our discharge, our different things is not the 120. We have kids that are there for 6 months, 8 months, 9 months, have been in PRTF for a long period of time. And then they come back. We look at that strongly, but I know Xavier can tell we've had some kids, unfortunately, that have to come back to our level of care.
Yeah. If we feel like the kid can benefit, then they can be readmitted. What I'll say is, it's very structured here. So sometimes, a kid may discharge from here. They're at their baseline behavior. They're stabilized. We're not seeing anything that would warrant PRTF anymore. So we discharge that kid. Let's say they maybe go to a TFC, and then they begin to immediately present those maladaptive behaviors. It's not likely that within 2 or 3 weeks we would readmit that kid. We do believe in, giving kids the opportunity to be able to demonstrate some of the skills that they've developed. So when it's a quick turnaround, but that's just discharged and 2 or 3 weeks later we get a referral, it's not likely that they'll be readmitted. But we do have kids where we're looking at 6 months, 8 months, a year, 2 years down the road. A lot can change in that time, so those kids can possibly be readmitted. And then that's a good question, and this is a good segue, is that just because a kid was admitted before does not mean that they would automatically, meet criteria again, because they're presenting behaviors or symptomology during their first admission may look different during this second time. So just because we've said yes before doesn't automatically mean it will be yes again.
Yes, thank you. Very good question, Edward. And then we have another question from Rachel. Would there be a denial if a child has not yet had a psychological evaluation, but does have a recent CCA?
Now, yeah, most of the time the kids don't have. A lot of times they don't have a psychological. So once I get some of the information, the documents, I try to determine, if it's something where a kid hasn't had a psychological, then that kid could actually be a good candidate for the 30-day program. So I know Leonard was explaining earlier with that 30-day assessment program, kind of the selling point of that is the psychological is completed within 30 days. So we get, we get the diagnosis, we get the recommendation. So it's likely that that kid would just be recommended for the 30-day assessment program.
Great, thanks, Leonard. And then Melissa is asking, do the youth receive individual therapy? And if yes, how often?
Yeah, so the kids get individual therapy weekly. They get group therapy weekly. And then it's kind of unique because the therapist offices are, they are all in between the classrooms. So you'll have a classroom, a therapist office, and another classroom. So that assigned therapist, is a mirror that they can see their kids. The therapists go in, engage with the kids in the classroom. So where we're saying that they get the individual therapy and group therapy weekly, the therapist is still always involved on a daily basis, in addition to the individual and group therapy.
Perfect. Okay, we have anybody else with any questions? You can raise your hand or unmute your mic, put it in the chat. Going once, going twice. All right. Well, if you think of anything after this, after we all leave the presentation, feel free once again to reach out to any of us and we will definitely answer your question there. As a reminder, I'll be sending everybody, even those who weren't able to attend but did register, I'll be sending everybody a copy of or a link to the webinar, a copy of the PowerPoint, as well as our referral form. And I'll also be doing that drawing. So thank you again, everybody, for joining us. Oh, Xavier did add that there is current availability. We do have a few beds open. So if you are, if you have a child in mind that you want to go ahead and refer, feel free to do so. And I hope everyone has a wonderful weekend. Oh, we've got another question from Edward. Last question. Is AYN involved in any scholarships for youth that have been involved in your program?
Not currently. That is something that has been discussed, but right now there's nothing concrete.
That's something we can definitely follow up on, though, in the academic. That's a good question. Something we maybe need to look into. I like that question.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, with that one, I will bid everyone a wonderful weekend, and we hope to hear from you all soon. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you all.
Bye-bye.